بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful.
سبح اسم ربك الأعلى.
Glorify the name of your guardian Lord Most High,
الذي خلق فسوى.
who has created and further given order and proportion,
والذي قدر فهدى.
who has ordained laws and granted guidance,
والذي أخرج المرعى.
and who brings out the green and luscious pasture,
فجعله غثاء أحوى.
and then does make it but swarthy stubble.
سنقرئك فلا تنسى.
By degrees shall we teach you to declare the message, so you shall not forget.
إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى.
Except as Allah wills, for He knows what is manifest and what is hidden.
ونيسرك لليسرى.
And we will make it easy for you to follow the simple path.
فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى.
Therefore, give admonition in case the admonition profits the hearer.
سيذكر من يخشى.
The admonition will be received by those who fear Allah,
ويتجنبها الأشقى.
but it will be avoided by those most unfortunate ones,
الذي يصلى النار الكبرى.
who will enter the great fire,
ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا.
in which they will then neither die nor live.
قد أفلح من تزكى.
But those will prosper who purify themselves,
وذكر اسم ربه فصلى.
and glorify the name of their guardian Lord, and lift their hearts in prayer.
بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا.
Nay, behold, you prefer the life of this world,
والآخرة خير وأبقى.
but the hereafter is better and more enduring.
إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى.
And this is in the books of the earliest revelations,
صحف إبراهيم وموسى.
the books of Abram and Moses,